Did you say street photography? You're in the right place. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and today we're gonna talk together about two of the infinite potentials that you have when you have to pick up a camera for street photography, namely the Leica Q2, which I'm using for 3 years now, and the little Pixii A2572 that I'm using for 6 good months right now. So we're gonna see together why you should go for one or the other. Of course, this is not exhaustive. There are plenty of other cameras out there, including the Fuji cameras, which I don't have at hand. But next week, I'm gonna have a different direct one-to-one comparison from the little Pixii versus the Ricoh GR3. So stay tuned because we're gonna hit downtown together and we're gonna have this challenge for APS-C sensor one against the other. So let's start, guys, because we have plenty of things to talk about. Sit back and relax. And so the very first thing we're gonna consider when you want a camera is the form factor. So both these two cameras, and try to showcase to the other camera I have here. Let's see if it works. This is the little Pixii. The assembly is a very good quality because it has been made in an area of France close to Switzerland where there are plenty of watch artisans, and so the production has been moved there because, you know, this legitimate assembly needs to be done and fine-tuned and controlled. And so I didn't hear anybody ever complaining about the assembly quality of the little Pixii, similarly to the Leica Q2, because Leica is famous for its assembly quality. I'll try to showcase it here. So camera body, form factor, size and weight, they are really similar. The only real difference is the glass, but we're gonna talk about it later on. So form factor, assembly, body, both of them graduated with honor. And then another thing that we have to consider when it comes down to the physical specs of the camera is the battery. So the battery for this Leica is a very long-lasting one. It's also a very expensive one, more than $300 if I'm not wrong. It was a while since when I purchased another one, so now I have two of them, and two of them you can go for a whole day if you're shooting stills, a bit less if you're shooting videos. And the little Pixii as well, it uses smaller and cheaper batteries. So I will show you right now what battery it comes with, but you can have a bunch of those. These are super cheapo battery. They last a bit less than the Leica, so maybe in order to have the same life of the Leica with two batteries, you will need maybe 3 or 4 of those, but these are really at a discounted price, so they're also very small and it doesn't bother me at all. So guys, both these cameras have similar specs, they have a similar use because they will be your EDC, everyday carry, and they will be your truly trusted companion for street photography. So why would you go for one or the other? Let's start with the simplest one, because the Pixii, it's a very simple project. It's photography as it used to be. So you won't have any rear display to check your shots. You have a very simple assembly and simple commands. You have a menu system which is very intuitive because it doesn't have to manage many things, right? And here you can set up the ISO either manually or with the recent software update you can have it automatic, and then anything else is super easy because you will have the f aperture directly on the glass. This is a Voigtlander 35mm that they sent me together with the camera, and then for the shutter speed it's just this simple wheel on the top of the camera. So things as they used to be, in addition with suggestions for the exposure. And so this is helping a lot. Guys, when you're out there, you're only worth as much as you can withstand. And so situations you really need to be fast and ready to go. And with the little Pixii, I never missed a shot. So what else to be said about this camera? It is an APS-C BSI sensor, but the main peculiarity of this camera is that it is capable of shooting RAW, both color with the band filter or monochrome. If you missed the episodes when I talked about how the Pixii works, please find it up here. We discussed it thoroughly many times. I am also thrilled every time I go out and take this camera with me. I am sure I will go home and have great results, despite the APS-C sensor, but this is not a compromise to me because little Pixii is using Leica M-mount glasses. And so I'm using this Voigtlander most of the time. Zeiss, they were also kind to send me over a Biogon 25mm, which I enjoyed previously this summer, and I had impressive results. But when I'm going out with the little Pixii, I tend to shoot monochrome because this is what I'm not having in my Leica. I was saving money for a Leica M10 monochrome, but now that I got the little Pixii, I think I'm gonna keep going with that one, and I'm gonna keep shooting monochrome with the little Pixii because the dynamic range and the results I'm having are all so pleasing. Different thing is if you decide to go for Leica. Of course, this is also a different budget, guys. This camera costs probably twice as much as the other one, and in Leica terms, I like to consider the fact that you're basically paying for the glass and the camera comes with it as a free gift, because it's the same price you would spend for a proper Leica glass. I don't know if you have many glasses at home, Leica or any other brand for the M-mount, but basically a 28mm Samilux costs as much as the camera, and here you're having a whole camera with it. So pluses and minus of going for the Leica Q2 versus a Leica M6, M10, M11, whatever. This is a very recent project. So basically the same thing that you can do with the little Pixii, you can do with the Leica Q2, because you will have the ring f aperture directly on the glass. You have the ISO. I put it on this wheel upper dial, so it's a very fast and quick way of changing it. You can eventually also set it to automatic ISO with the cap. I will never overcome 3200 ISO, eventually 6400, but only if you're shooting and you really need to. But otherwise, cap it to 3200 and you're good to go. And then you will have your shutter speed wheel right here. And in addition, you can eventually also switch to macro. So it's a very easy way of having street photography with this Leica Q2, because in addition to a manual, mainly manual, let's say camera like it was the Pixii, in addition to all the manual commands, in addition to this beautiful glass that you can use with the Leica M-mount, well, this is a rangefinder while the other one is a mirrorless, and so you can expect to have a bit more help when you're out there shooting, because you are having weather sealing with this camera, you're having OIS, optical image stabilization, in the glass, not in the body, and the most fun thing of all, this camera is really a point and shoot, because you can set the rear monitor here. So on the display, you would touch an area and it would focus and eventually also release. So you don't need to go around the mast beside your camera. You can have it super cool on your chest. And if you don't want to zone focus, we discussed zone focusing. So guys, if you missed the episode, please find it up here. If you don't want to zone focus, you can eventually have it on your chest and shoot just by touching the display in the area where you have the most interesting subject. So Leica Q2, it's a very good camera. I've been using it for 3 full years now, so stay tuned because I'm having a complete review out of it. But there's nothing more to say. It can also eventually shoot 4K videos, and so the quality of the image you're having is top notch. I will not compromise on anything. Just have a look, watch out for the ISO, because the Leica Pixii is a bit better when it comes to ISO management, but having a smaller sensor, it also gathers less light. So I think these two are very comparable in terms of use, in terms of size, in terms of weight, of course not in terms of cost, but the kind of use and the end result you're having out of the two is really comparable. And so which one to go for? Guys, it really depends what you are looking for in a camera. It also depends what stage in life you are, because I'm in my 40s. You might be older or younger than me. You might have a different style. I'm more of a hunter when it comes down to street photography. Maybe you are more of a fisher. I don't know. Maybe you're used to run and gun for videos. Maybe, I don't know. Each habit has an impact on the choice of camera. But stay tuned because we're going to discuss together which one is eventually the best camera for street photography out there, provided that street photography is not a compromise. You should not be able to tell yourself, I'm shooting street, therefore I can compromise here and there. Maybe this is not perfect, maybe this is not completely sharp, maybe this is not completely balanced, and you should not compromise. You should try to do the best thing, the best choices possible directly in camera, and then eventually take advantage of the fact that you're having a digital file. With 47 megapixel, the image that you're having out of the Leica will eventually allow you to crop and reframe a bit, or you can eventually crop and reframe directly in the camera with the 35mm, 50mm, or eventually 75mm crop directly in camera. While Leica Pixii, you need to consider the crop factor because it's an APS-C camera, therefore that's a 1.5 crop factor, and this 35mm glass is equal to a 52.5, so it's a bit more of a reach. And if you're going to go wider, you need to go like down to 25, 21mm at least to have a comparable aperture and framing to the other one. So guys, I don't know if you have any questions. I hope I told the most out of it, and then for each one of those two cameras you will find plenty of videos in my channel because I use them thoroughly and I explained every single detail possible so far, and I will try to do the same thing next week with the Ricoh GR3X that I'm using for one day only, so I'm trying to take the best out of it. If you have any question, please feel free to reach out here and let me know if you need me to exploit any other aspects of these two cameras. Otherwise, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.